Good morning, I'm just heading out from the Barlow Pass Trailhead. I'm about to do a 12-mile round trip hike to Glacier Basin. I've never done this one before. I've hiked most of the way there. About 4 miles in, I'll hit Monte Cristo Ghost Town. I usually camp there in the summer, but didn't this year, so getting kind of a late start on that part of it. But Glacier Basin should be beautiful today. I've got great weather, and I am trying out a new sun hoodie, so we'll see how that works too. Right now the trail is pretty quiet, and hopefully after the ghost town not many people will be there. Most of this trail is part of an old railroad grade that went up to Monte Cristo to carry out ore and lumber and various things, people. And it's quite wide. And then it was a road. There's actually some houses up there, but the road kept getting washed out from this river. So they quit maintaining it, and now pretty much if you want to get to those houses, you have to walk in. I think they cut a new road when they cleaned up the area around Monte Cristo. It was a super fun area. But here's one of the only places you could actually see that I found the old track, which is quite a ways under dirt now. So, I mean, you can just tell how much has happened in the history of this area with flooding and landslides and clearing and road building and things like that. It's just changed so much for such a remote area. People have really changed it a lot. These are foxglove or digitalis. They're a really beautiful flower, and they occur in this white color, which is a little less common usually, and they can be really dark purple like these here. And then they can also be a lighter purple. So you just see all these variations in this one area, which I just think is super cool. Even some of these are kind of a pied. They have both the purple and the white growing on the same stalk. And bees love them. So I mentioned earlier that Monte Cristo is the site of a Superfund cleanup. Basically, there was a lot of contaminated soil from their mining and refining efforts. They were mining gold and silver out here, and it was hard rock mining. It wasn't little nuggets or whatever. They had to process the rock, and they took all of that. It says 14,350 cubic yards of contaminated material, and this is where it is. They cleared out this hillside. They compacted it with lime and covered it with some kind of special material, geotextile fabric, and then covered it with several feet of soil. And then they just covered it with logs and things like that. This site, actually, it says was one of the only railroad switchbacks back in 1906. There's a picture of it right there. So back when they had the railroad here, there was a switchback here, and it had grown over before they dug it all back up to put all of the contaminated material. But this is where it resides. Nearing the town of Monte Cristo. This is where the campground splits off from the main trail. You can't camp in the actual town, but there's a handful of campsites up there, and that's where I usually camp around the 4th of July. And it's pretty nice, actually. There's one that has a good view of the mountains, and it's all treed and quiet. There is a toilet here, but I do not remember it ever actually being open. So a lot of the more disgusting humans have just gone right on the ground just past this, which is pretty gross. If you need to go in the woods, make sure you're burying that or packing it out with you, depending on where you're at. But the campground does have an open air vault toilet. If you need to use it, use that. Don't just go on the ground by the outhouse. the sign of Monte Cristo. All right, here's the town of Monte Cristo. The buildings you see here are not actually the old town buildings, but buildings that were put up later. I believe as part of a guide service, or the Forest Service had something going on. I'll have to look that up and put it in the description, and maybe we'll find one of these signs that talk about it. But I believe the only things left of the original town of Monte Cristo are the railway turntable here, which is pretty sweet. And if you push, it actually turns. And then the foundation of the Monte Cristo hood. Okay, here we go. So the cabins are part of a resort that was built in the 50s and maintained now by the Forest Service. Here's that foundation of the Monte Cristo Lodge that also remains here from the original town. If you want to know more about this town, I think I've mentioned it in previous videos, but The Coffee Chased Us Up is a really cool book written by a guy who actually grew up here. So once you get to the town of Monte Cristo, you go to the right, you're going to go up towards Silver Lake and Twin Lakes. I've been at Silver Lake, it's really beautiful. And if you go this way to Dumas Street, that's where you find the trail to Glacier Basin. Getting warmer and I need to get up that trail, so I'm not going to walk down in here, but this is a pretty cool place to check out if you come up here. It's a United Company's concentrator. This is the site of their concentrator for the ore that they were pulling out. You can't see the waterfall from right here. I'll get more of that, but just want to show you what I'm in the middle of here. Absolute beauty. It's rugged, has patches of snow. All I hear is bird song and waterfalls. This is just stunning. Above Monte Cristo, the trail isn't very maintained, so it gets a bit brushy, which is fine. You just got to watch out for, nettles and thistles and things. And mostly, if you're doing this in the early morning, you're going to get drenched from all the dew. There's the valley I've been hiking up. You can see all of the mountains, and I can hear the roar of the waterfall. It's just right there past those bushes. I'll get past them in a minute. So this is supposed to have a pretty serious bunch of rock scrambles for 3/4 of a mile. And I've been fighting my way through brush that's completely obscuring the trail. And of course it hinders your movement forward. So I can't imagine scrambles that are harder than that brush that I just came through. Hopefully that's the case. Well, this rock wall is actually the trail, and I'm wondering if this is the part that used to have a rope, because it kind of looks like it should. Here we go again. This is a trail. Just keeps going up. Ooh, slippery. Here's more of that view without the trees in the way. And here's more of that steep trail. I think this is the last rock stretch, and I can hear the waterfall to my right. Hopefully I'll get another good view of it. How well you can see this, but and I don't know if it'll open up more to show better, but there's a little bit of I think this might be actually the toe of a glacier. There's quite an ice cave going in there. I never go in ice caves. They're very dangerous and unstable, but they sure are cool to see. All right, I am still climbing, but not too much. The trail's flattened out a bit. Thought I'd let you know what I think of this sun hoodie. It is breathable, but I do feel like I'm not getting as much evaporative cooling when I get all sweaty because it's long sleeved and I hike pretty hot. However, this is awesome. I mean, I'm not getting burned at all. I'm hiking through all of this sunny exposed slope now, and it's really keeping the sun off. I put sunscreen on my face and that's about it because I knew I was going to wear this. And it is really breathable and cool as well. I don't feel like it is making me hotter, just the climb in the day. Yeah, totally goodbye. I'm really happy I got it. Super happy I got this light color too. Just look at this. Whoop. Here's some artifacts, pieces of old glass bottles, and the sole of a shoe there. It looks like a child's shoe, but then a larger shoe there. So I was picking my way through all of these boulders on the slope, and this couple came out of the woods, and I could then see that there's actually kind of a built-out trail further up. It's hard to find the start of it coming in, and I don't feel so bad because they said they were doing the same thing yesterday, and they actually looked up and saw that this spot was kind of built up and flatter. This definitely looks like another blasted shut mine. You can see that the rock doesn't even match the surface rock here, and it doesn't look like a landslide either. It's all full of rusted metal. This must have been a pretty big opening. This is what the hillside would look like otherwise. It smells like sunshine and mountains and flowers and earth. God, everything about this place is beautiful. Unbelievably beautiful here. Met this guy on the way up who said he was going to go skiing on the glacier, and I didn't really believe him, but apparently it is skiable, and he looks like he's having a freaking blast. honestly never want to leave this basin. A couple people on the way up told me that it was magical, and they were right. It's really, really beautiful here, and other than 2 people I met that were already coming out before I hit the basin and the skier that was in the basin, it's just me. A lot of people don't like out and back hikes. They feel like they've already seen everything. But I think they're just fine, and I always see something different coming back out. Different patches of flowers, different views of the mountain. By then the light has usually shifted. This hike is just a hell yeah out of 10. I'm back to Monte Cristo and read a few more signs. So the foundation of the lodge I showed you earlier actually wasn't left over from the original town, which was platted in 1893. It's actually part of the resort as well, or the lodge. There was a lodge, a hotel, and all these cabins that have been built up. So not a lot of structure at all left from the original town, but still a really cool place to come poke around. Lots of mining history, tons and tons of different aspects of mining, the old railway, just a really, really great place to come. Not a lot of elevation gain getting to this part of it, so most people can make it up to Monte Cristo, enjoy a nice picnic, and the mountains around here are just beautiful. All right, here I am back at the car. I got just over 12.5 miles on my Apple Watch and 2,300 feet of elevation gain total for the whole hike. Gorgeous hike. I'll definitely do this one again. The boulder scramble wasn't what I expected. I usually think of a boulder scramble as like a jumble of rocks. You're trying to find the path and at the same time scramble up these rocks, and you're exposed in the sun. And it wasn't like that at all. The boulder scrambles in this hike are more like a chute. The trail is like a chute right up this rock face. So there's big slick sections of rock and big boulder chunks and little pieces of rock, and that was difficult, but it was really fun to me. The hardest part to me that was annoying was shoving my way through the bushes as you're going uphill. Those bushes really, really slow you down. They catch on your walking sticks, and they also obscure what you're stepping on. So a couple times I almost fell just because I couldn't see if there was a gap where I was putting my foot, and I thought that there wasn't, and there actually was. So that was the hardest part to me. But this is just a beautiful, beautiful trail, and so I highly recommend getting up there if you can.